beyond bloodlines. Discovering who your relations truly are. The individual who clicks with your tastes, motives, and habits of thought, and whom you feel an undeniable attraction towards, may not necessarily be a blood relative such as a brother, sister, or cousin. However, this person holds a significant place in your life as a close relation. Your siblings may not share your mindset, preferences, or inclinations at all. While you may associate with them due to familial ties, if you were to encounter individuals elsewhere who mirror their exact character traits, you might not find them appealing in the slightest. The physical or blood connection holds little significance when it comes to genuine mental and emotional bonds. It is entirely possible for a sibling, parent, or any other relative to be closely aligned with your thoughts and sympathies. Conversely, it is also possible for a family member to be distant from you in terms of thoughts and sympathies, residing in a realm of thinking that starkly contrasts with your own. Living a healthy and comfortable life is impossible without surrounding yourself with individuals whose thought atmosphere aligns with your own. It's not just about physical relationships, they may or may not provide the desired atmosphere. Have you ever wondered why you can't recreate the same feelings of joy and excitement from your childhood or youth? It's because your spirit craves a different kind of nourishment, a thought food or atmosphere that can only be provided by another, perhaps even a higher, order of mind. Once you find this connection, time will fly by, and every moment will be as enjoyable as it was with the companions of your past. These individuals who can provide the desired atmosphere are your true relations. However, this relationship cannot exist unless you can return and offer them the same quality of thought in return. The real or spiritual relations of many merchants, mechanics, and individuals from various professions are their fellow merchants, mechanics, or those in similar occupations. Their lives serve as proof of this truth. They feel more at home with those who share their business pursuits than in the places they call home, where they merely eat, sleep, and endure tiresome Sundays, eagerly awaiting the arrival of Monday and the vibrant life of the market and store. It is in these environments that they find their true relations, where they are genuinely guided and invigorated by the thought atmosphere provided by these like-minded individuals, an atmosphere they also contribute to in return. Every order of mind or quality of thought must be associated with a corresponding order of mind and quality of thought, or else it will suffer. However, the concept of relationship has little to do with providing such order of thought. There is a significant amount of unconscious control exerted through the ties of physical relationship. When children grow up, they often confine their mothers or fathers to a specific area and way of life, whether or not they actually belong there. There is no force more subtle in its workings, yet more powerful in yielding results, whether positive or negative, than the continuous stream of thoughts emanating from one or several minds, directed towards one person to achieve a desired outcome. Whether this is done consciously and intelligently or blindly, the force operates with the same effect. Now, imagine a constant flow of this kind of thought, originating from 3 or 4 minds, who owe their existence to the instrumental role played by Mother in providing them with new bodies. This relentless stream of thoughts is continuously directed towards Mother, exerting a formidable force that keeps her exactly where her children find it most convenient to have her. Through the influence of these minds, many mothers lose their individual privileges and eventually surrender to fulfilling their children's desires. Perhaps you may argue or consider, but shouldn't I turn to my close relatives for support and assistance, as I have always done? Shouldn't those within my own family, above all others, be there for me in times of need? Certainly, if a service rendered by a relative stems from genuine heartfelt intentions, rather than being driven by a sense of obligation due to family ties, it holds far greater value. It is unfortunate that many times, these services are not even requested, but rather unconsciously expected. Relatives often burden their kin with various demands simply because of their blood connection. They expect favors in the form of financial assistance or the endorsement of their notes, without considering the strain it may put on their loved ones. They anticipate support, food, shelter, and maintenance from their relatives, even when they are unable to find it elsewhere. Hospitality is demanded from family members, turning what should be a gracious act into a necessary duty. Similarly, presents are expected from relatives, turning what should be a genuine gift into a form of extortion. True gifts are always surprises. The element of surprise is lost when expectations are set, as it diminishes the joy of receiving. Relatives often visit and impose themselves on their flesh and blood, solely because they share a bloodline, causing resentment and unspoken grievances to go bad. This is particularly evident when relatives exploit each other's homes to avoid hotel expenses, leading to a constant undercurrent of dissatisfaction and complaints. However, no genuine or lasting good can come from a gift offered upon another unless it is accompanied by a genuine sentiment. The act of giving should bring everlasting pleasure to the giver, as it is not solely about the material offering itself. There is an intangible element that accompanies the material gift, be it food, shelter, or a loan, which holds greater significance. This intangible element is the thought that accompanies the gift, which has a profound impact, for better or worse, on the recipient. It is crucial to recognize that true acts of service and genuine gifts are not driven by obligation or expectation. They are born out of pure intentions and bring immeasurable joy to both the giver and the receiver. If you generously give within your means, offering even the smallest amount of money to someone in need, and if your intention is not only to sincerely assist that person, but also to derive immense pleasure from providing such help, then you bestow upon them a powerful thought element. This thought element will forever remain with them, benefiting them eternally and in direct proportion to the quality, strength, and force of your thoughts. In doing so, you go beyond merely alleviating their immediate physical necessity, you grant them a certain measure of spiritual power. Your wish for their power to grow and flourish, enabling them to rise above destitution and attract the abundance of this world, becomes a tremendous aid for them in their journey towards acquiring such power. You have planted a seed of thought within them, which will take root and bear fruit at some point in their real or spiritual existence. However, if you give unwillingly, if you offer assistance under any form of compulsion, if you provide food, shelter, clothing, money, or anything else solely because circumstances force you to do so, or because you fear unfavorable gossip or wish to imitate others, then your gift holds little value, regardless of the recipient, even if it is your own mother, father, brother, sister, son, or daughter. In such cases, you merely address a physical necessity, and only temporarily. You may indeed feed, shelter, and clothe a body, but you fail to properly nourish the spirit that inhabits that body if your thoughts accompanying the gift lack perfect willingness and genuine pleasure in relieving the burdens of that body. Therefore, let your generosity be bold and unwavering. Give with a resolute spirit, knowing that your contribution holds the power to transform lives. Embrace the joy that comes from helping others, and let your thoughts be a light of hope and empowerment. By doing so, you not only provide immediate relief but also ignite a flame within their souls, guiding them towards their desired outcome. The grudging notion that accompanies a gift, a notion that is all too common when the recipient is endured rather than enjoyed, is a disadvantage to both the giver and the receiver. This notion arises when a gift is given out of obligation or the recipient's insistence, rather than genuine desire. It is a current of thought, tainted with negativity, that flows from the giver to the receiver, and in turn, produces a response of similar nature. This exchange of thoughts is harmful to both parties involved. When you receive a gift that you have somehow coerced, your sentiment towards the giver is not one of warm, heartfelt gratitude, but rather something entirely different. The Christ of Judea, in praising the widow who selflessly contributed her meager mite to the treasury, did so not solely because she gave in proportion to her means, but because he recognized the genuine desire within her to help in any way possible. Her thought of benevolence, accompanying that small offering, was far more sincere and heartfelt than the thoughts of wealthier individuals who donated larger sums, but with impure motives. Furthermore, he understood that the woman's thoughts were actually making a greater impact than those of the others, for they were untainted, free from ulterior motives. Her thoughts were purer, and therefore, stronger in their ability to bring about positive change. Is it not my duty, some may question, to provide sustenance, clothing, shelter, and care for a close relative or parent in their old age? The concept of doing from a sense of duty does not always imply that the action is driven by love for the person being helped or love for the act itself. Sometimes, it is carried out mechanically or with a sense of dislike. At times, it becomes a forced and burdensome obligation. Consequently, little good is achieved because while physical needs may be temporarily relieved, spiritual needs remain unfulfilled. Without nourishing the spiritual aspect of our beings, there can be no lasting relief or positive impact on the physical area. Parents who rely solely on their children's sense of duty to support them in old age often experience emotional wounds and a sense of neglect. They feel like burdens, enduring the support begrudgingly provided by their offspring. This lack of genuine love accompanying the assistance or service leaves them emotionally starved. Similarly, children who are brought into the world without a warm welcome from their parents, and are raised solely due to societal expectations and public opinion, face unfortunate circumstances. They suffer from the withering effects and emotional deprivation caused by this lack of genuine care. Authentic, heartfelt love is truly life-giving. When a child receives such love, it becomes a source of joy, well-being, strength, and vitality. It is a bold reminder that love has the power to transform lives and nurture the human spirit. There exists a particular well-trained conscience, whose foundation lies in the fear of public or private opinion. This conscience often compels individuals to carry out actions that are deemed to be driven by a sense of duty. However, if public opinion were to suddenly shift and no longer condemn those who refuse to support their close relatives in times of need or old age, it is likely that a portion of these relatives would end up in destitution. In such a scenario, the son or daughter who sends them to the poorhouse would be acting in accordance with their true nature, rather than pretending to possess a sentiment they do not truly hold. Mothers sometimes utter the words, "I do not care about my own fate, as long as my children are well raised and educated." However, a mother should indeed care deeply about her own personal growth and development. If her own cultivation and wisdom remain stagnant, the same will happen to her children. This stagnation will occur if she sacrifices herself entirely to cater to her children's needs. A genuine mother will consistently command the admiration, respect, and love of her children. However, such admiration and respect can only be earned by a woman who is well versed in the ways of the world, holds a position of influence, and constantly strives for greater prominence. On the other hand, a mother who retreats to a corner of the household, assuming the role of a stern nurse or governess, neglecting her appearance, and teaching her children that she is at their beck and call in all family matters, whether real or imagined, will fail to cause such admiration and respect from her children. Consequently, many of these mothers are disregarded, rebuffed, and even ridiculed by their adult offspring. If mothers mistakenly believe that sacrificing themselves for the sake of their children will benefit them, they will ultimately pay a heavy price. If you allow your will to be constantly dependent on another person, if you surrender your own preferences and inclinations, and become nothing more than an echo of someone else's desires, then you are on a path to losing the power of self-assertion in this existence, this life. You will absorb so much of the other person's mind and thoughts about you that you will become a simple extension of their will, acting in accordance with their unspoken desires. This will lead to your own setting, sinking into a state of hopeless servitude. Gradually, you will lose both physical and mental power to accomplish anything, becoming nothing more than a burden in the corner, an elderly parent who is endured rather than loved. This is the unfortunate consequence that many grown-up children's minds have on their parents. It is the silent force of these minds, constantly exerting pressure on the parent, that contributes to their physical breakdown. The decay and mental weakness often attributed to advancing years are, in part, a result of the harmful influence of a mind or group of minds seeking to dominate and overpower another. This harm is inflicted unconsciously. Consider the son who desires to take control of the family business. His will is strong, and he gradually gains power, step by step. Initially, he may have sought his father's permission or viewed certain privileges as granted. However, he continues to assert his dominance, both in significant matters and trivial ones, perhaps even enlisting the support of his siblings, who silently align their forces in the same direction. This combined force becomes nearly insurmountable for the parent, who is constantly exposed to it. It is an unrelenting, ceaseless pressure, always pushing in one direction, working relentlessly day and night. It is crucial to recognize the dangers of allowing others to overpower our will and dictate our lives. We must guard against the loss of our self-assertion and the loss of our physical and mental strength. It works even more effectively because the parent, who is completely unaware of this force and its impact on them, becomes utterly ignorant. They find themselves growing weaker, becoming inert, and lacking their previous vigor, attributing it to the approach of old age. One might ask, shouldn't I love my children above all others? However, the term ought has no relevance when it comes to the nature of love. Love goes wherever it pleases, to whomever it is attracted. You cannot force yourself to love something or someone. There have been parents who lacked genuine love for their children, just as there have been children who lacked genuine love for their parents. Neither party can be blamed for this deficiency. They were born with this lack, just as one would not criticize a person for being born blind or crippled. Some parents may believe they love their children, but in reality, they do not. A father who loses his temper and beats his son does not truly love him. It would be more accurate to say that he loves to exert power over him or bully him. While authority is necessary within a family, it should never be administered through anger and irritability. Parents sometimes interfere and significantly impact a child's future by opposing their desired profession. The parent may hold biases against certain career paths, while the child wishes to pursue one of these paths. The parent responds with bitter and uncompromising opposition, refusing to engage in reasoning, discussion, or guidance. Their sentiment and actions are not driven by love for the child, but rather by their own attachment to their opinions and a desire for control. It is evident that this force operates insincerely, rendering parents ignorant and weakening their love for their children. It highlights the importance of genuine love, free from tyranny and prejudice, in fostering a healthy and supportive family environment. Parents often overlook the fact that once their child emerges from the helpless state of infancy, they are gradually becoming their own unique individual. This individuality is marked by distinct tastes, preferences, and inclinations. No parent or person has the power to break or alter these inherent traits. The child's mind, or rather their spirit, has experienced previous lives from infancy to maturity, and as they inhabit their new body and gain control over it, they will naturally manifest the qualities of the man or woman they were in their early life. This may result in a strong resemblance to the parent or a complete departure from it. Regardless, parents are dealing with an individual who is evolving and developing their own set of tastes, preferences, and character traits. These aspects of their being must find expression, whether physically or not. If a boy yearns to go to sea and the parent forbids it, the boy's mind is already sailing the vast ocean. In such a case, it is far more beneficial for his body to follow suit, as disharmony arises when the mind and body are not aligned. Even if a parent denies their son the opportunity to go to sea out of fear for his safety, they are ultimately prioritizing their own fears and desires over their son's well-being. It is crucial for parents to recognize and respect the individuality of their children. They must understand that their child's mind is not a blank slate waiting to be molded, but a spirit with its own unique history and inclinations. Suppressing or denying these inherent traits can only lead to frustration and disharmony. Instead, parents should encourage their children to explore and express their true self, even if it means venturing into unfamiliar territories. By doing so, they foster a sense of authenticity and fulfillment in their child's life. It is essential for parents to overcome their own fears and biases, and prioritize their child's growth and happiness above all else. Only then can they become who they were meant to be. Parents often exert complete control, not only over their child's physical well-being, but also over their thoughts and desires. The child's own tastes, inclinations, and preferences are disregarded as insignificant. If a boy dreams of becoming a sailor, but his parent insists on a different path, does the parent truly succeed? The answer lies in the multitude of mediocre individuals in various professions across the land. Mediocrity, in this context, refers to the mindless pursuit of a career devoid of passion or interest. Moreover, when a person is forced to conform to a certain way of life against their own desires, a destructive force is set in motion. This force often tears apart the harmony between mind and body, leaving parents to mourn the loss of a child, unaware that they themselves are responsible for this separation. So, how long should parental control persist over a child, or rather, over the spirit that they have helped shape with a new body? Is it not reasonable to suggest that such control should cease once the child has gained enough self-determination to meet their own physical needs? To go beyond this point, providing food, clothing, shelter, and maintenance to an individual, is to inflict great injustice and even cruelty upon them. By doing so, we deny them the opportunity to exercise the faculties necessary for successfully navigating the world. We hinder their ability to become self-sufficient and earn a living. Instead, we teach them to relax in comfort, when they should be out in the world, honing their mental and physical ability. It is time to adopt a bolder approach, one that recognizes the importance of individual self-determination and self-reliance. Let us empower our children to embrace the challenges of life, to develop their minds and bodies through active engagement with the world. Only then will they truly thrive and become capable of achieving their goals. Parents often burden themselves with unjust responsibility and needlessly inflict mental suffering upon themselves due to their children's mistakes and inclinations. When a son or daughter chooses a path that deviates from conventional ideas of propriety, parents tend to blame themselves for not being more vigilant. They condemn themselves for being the primary cause of their child's misdeeds through their perceived neglect. However, it is crucial to realize that you should not shoulder all the blame. You did not shape your child's character, it was formed long before their current existence. The traits and imperfections that were prominent in their early life will likely manifest in their present one. If they had a tendency towards theft before, it is probable that such inclinations will resurface. Similarly, if they were inclined towards gluttony and animalistic behavior, those tendencies may persist. Nevertheless, if you have evolved to a more refined plane of thought, you can play a role in modifying and reducing these negative tendencies. However, your influence will primarily be exerted through the silent power of your superior thoughts on your child's mind. It will not be achieved through excessive verbal advice, physical punishment, or strict discipline. In essence, it is time to adopt a bold perspective. Understand that you are not solely responsible for your child's actions. Instead, focus on using your elevated mindset to positively impact their behavior. Embrace the power of your thoughts and guide them towards a better path. In embarking on a new physical experience, the mind inevitably reveals its imperfections, leading to the manifestation of pain and punishment. It is through these trials that the spirit gains clarity, recognizing how its own errors bring about these consequences. However, true understanding can only be attained when an individual is granted complete freedom from parental control, allowing them to live as they please. While one may exert temporary control over another's external life, it merely masks the true nature of their mind, filled with base desires and inclinations. The sooner these inclinations are explored and experienced, the sooner one will grasp the immutable laws that govern our existence, imposing penalties for their violation. Only then will they discover the profound happiness that arises from living in harmony with these rules. Each spirit must undertake this journey on their own, for no one can reform another in the truest sense of the word. Reformation must originate from within, self-sustaining and independent of external influences. Any reform that relies solely on another's presence or influence is but a fleeting illusion, destined to crumble once that influence is withdrawn. We occasionally hear the claim that a person's spouse has been instrumental in their transformation, as if the credit solely belongs to the wife. Yet, why do we never hear of a man being the catalyst for his wife's growth? This question begs to be answered, challenging the prevailing notions of societal expectations and gender roles. We shed light on the profound truths that underlie human nature and personal growth. It is a call to embrace individuality, to recognize the power of self-discovery, and to reject the notion that external forces alone can shape our character. A man's ability to resist excessive indulgence or face the challenges of the world can be greatly influenced by his wife's strength and mental prowess. However, if he becomes entirely reliant on her for his transformation and cannot sustain himself without her constant presence and guidance, then his reformation is bound to be short-lived. Moreover, burdening one person with the responsibility of providing all the support for two individuals is an unfair and unsustainable arrangement. If this pattern persists, the wife, or whoever assumes this role, will eventually succumb to the weight of such a burden, resulting in the wreckage of both their lives. It is important to recognize that no one can truly make another person, at least not in the truest sense of the word. However, when one person possesses a superior intellect and maintains a close and enduring relationship with someone weaker, they can temporarily impart their vitality and strength to the weaker individual, provided there is a strong desire to assist them. If it is the husband who relies heavily on his wife and becomes dependent on her, he ceases to embody his own unique character. Instead, he becomes a mere reflection of his wife's character, or at least the parts of it that he can assimilate. Consequently, if she were to pass away or be separated from him, he would regress and revert to his true self, unless he resolves to become self-sufficient and cultivate his own inner strength rather than relying on another's. If the wife continues to sustain him, she is merely upholding his temporary persona, which cannot endure once its source of support is removed. In persisting with this role, she will inevitably deplete herself over time. Parents often unknowingly instill in their children a reliance on them, a tendency to lean on them for moral support for far too long. This grave mistake results in the parent's life being burdened, weighed down by the heavy load they carry, while the child's genuine love for their parent fades away. You may feel sympathy for what is feeble, weak, and broken, but love cannot be forced upon decay. Love is born out of admiration, and admiration cannot be compelled by deterioration. If human children continue to cling to their parents long after reaching a responsible age, if they constantly seek her aid, advice, sympathy, and assistance, if the mother allows herself to become the sole pillar of the family, she may unknowingly perpetuate the harmful cycle of giving too much without receiving anything in return. This distorted and detrimental form of motherhood is extracted, begged for, or dragged out of her. In doing so, she deprives herself of the new life that awaits her once her brood is raised and capable of standing on their own. By enabling her children to make her a feeble and foolish old woman, she diminishes her own potential. Changing a long-standing custom, even if rooted in error, cannot be done abruptly without causing disturbance, injustice, and harm. However, it is worth our while to examine the principle we observe in nature, from the tree that releases the ripe acorn to the bird or animal that sets free its mature young. Neither the acorn, nor the bird, nor the animal, once cast off or weaned, ever returns to the parent for sustenance. In these cases, the parent only provides support until the new entity is strong enough to absorb and utilize the resources around it, the earth, the sunshine, the flesh, or the grain, to sustain itself. Let us speak boldly and acknowledge the importance of breaking free from the chains of dependency. Let us learn from nature's wisdom and embrace the transformative power of self-discovery. By stepping out of our comfort zones and challenging ourselves, we can unlock our true potential and achieve personal growth. It is through this process of self-exploration that we can truly understand our strengths and weaknesses, and harness them to create a fulfilling and purposeful life. Just as nature constantly adapts and evolves, so too must we adapt to the ever-changing circumstances of our lives. Embracing change and taking control of our own destiny allows us to break free from the limitations that dependency imposes on us. Let us embrace the journey of self-discovery and empower ourselves to live a life of authenticity and fulfillment. Are our streets not teeming with grown-up individuals who are utterly incapable of providing for themselves? Are there not countless individuals who leave the comfort of their parental homes without the ability to sustain themselves, condemned to a life of perpetual struggle as they are unable to adequately feed, clothe, and shelter themselves, resorting to menial labor for meager wages? Does this arduous existence not drain them of their vitality and cut short their lives prematurely? And what of the multitude of daughters scattered across the land, destined to become old maids, their parents forbidding them from venturing into the world and seizing opportunities? These are the birds confined to their nests, their wings deprived of exercise, eventually losing all inclination to take flight, their mouths, though grown, conditioned only to receive the crumbs that are dropped into them. Boldly, we must confront the reality that our streets are overrun with individuals who have failed to develop the necessary skills to sustain themselves. They wander aimlessly, burdened by the weight of their own incompetence, forever reliant on the meager wages earned through backbreaking labor. This ceaseless toil not only drains their physical strength but also robs them of the precious time they could have spent pursuing their dreams and aspirations. These individuals, like birds confined to their nests, are stripped of their natural instincts and rendered incapable of soaring to new heights. Their wings, once vibrant and full of promise, wither away from lack of use. Their mouths, though grown, remain perpetually open, waiting for others to provide sustenance. As a result, these individuals become trapped in a cycle of dependency, always relying on others to make decisions for them. Their potential for growth and self-discovery remains untapped, as they are never given the opportunity to explore their own capabilities. The world outside their nests remains a mystery, and they are left longing for the freedom to spread their wings and experience the exhilaration of taking flight. Without the chance to face challenges and overcome obstacles, their lives become stagnant and devoid of true fulfillment. Remember, though I walk in the midst of trouble, you preserve my life, you stretch out your hand against the wrath of my enemies, and your right hand delivers me. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. Psalm 138:7, Proverbs 17:17. Peace, make each day your day.